All right. Well, welcome to Middle Minded. My name is Pete Bogdanov. I'm here with my good friend
Dave Gabine.
Dave Gabine. Together we are Middle
Middle-minded.
Minded. Well, today we're going to do a little current affairs episode. And I think the thing that's on everybody's mind is Joe Biden and the cover-up of the White House, hiding his obvious cancer. You don't end up with stage 4 cancer without the doctors already knowing that. So we obviously have been lied to as a people. And whether you're coming from the right, you're probably a little more angry, or whether you're coming from the left and you're a little more embarrassed, I don't know which. Today we're going to try to find some middle ground on this subject. So I'm going to give it over to Dave and let him frame what he believes is going on. And let's go.
Yeah, as far as the stage 4, I don't know exactly how long it takes to go from stage 1 to stage 4 in prostate cancer in a 80 ancient, however old he is.
80 ancient.
82, I think he is, something like that. 84, 82. He's old. He's up there. So I don't know. I don't know if they had found it. I don't know if they had done any looking for it prior to that. I mean, I think the big thing that people were talking about as far as the cover-up was more of his mental decline.
Which would happen with taking any sort of cancer treatment. Does a number on the mental capacity of the patient. I know because my wife has fought cancer. She had stage 3 cancer. I won't go into too many details, but once she was taking any sort of treatment whatsoever, everything was in decline, from energy to mental capacity to memory. There's no way in any sense of reality that someone going through cancer treatment could lead the strongest, largest country in the world. It's like, I don't care if you were just under light chemotherapy and radiation or whatever, it's just not possible. And I do have some experience with that subject, but let's...
Do you think he was, so you think they knew about the prostate cancer and he was being treated while he was...
Well, let's lay some boundaries down.
I don't know.
You're talking about the most powerful leader in the entire world, arguably. I guess if you like China or you like Russia, you might argue that those leaders are just as important. But let's just say he's one of the top 5 most important political figures on the planet. Do you think our government is so irresponsible as to not give him regular health checkups that would do blood work, cognitive work, and work on cancer, especially in someone in their 70s and 80s, which the average age of death in the world is 74 years old. So both of these gentlemen are above the average.
They're both ready to die.
They're both ready to die, and we're supposed to believe that the United States government and all our medical technology and advancement didn't check on the president's health prior to 2020, let alone now.
Again, I don't know what I know you do for your prostate. I think it's PSA test or something like that. I've had one. And I don't know when I get my next one, but I'm younger, being in your 50s, maybe when you're older, you have to get it more. I don't know about that. I had a friend who did have prostate
cancer. What about
cancer
the boundary that I'm talking about?
Who was in his
Don't you
late
think
70s.
It's common, and whether you're Democrat, Republican, independent, whatever, don't you think the people of the United States deserve a common medical boundary that the leader of the free world is routinely medically checked? And if he's going to be in office, don't you think simple blood tests for cancer screening, which is very simple, everybody gets it every time they get a checkup. I'm 55. Every time I go see my doctor, they do blood work, and in that blood work, it scans for these issues. So I think it's
honestly, I don't know if regular blood work will detect prostate cancer. I'd have to look. I'm not a medical person, but I don't think it is. But putting that aside, to answer your question, what you just said, yes, the president should be checked all the time. Also, health reports should be made public, but they should also be ensured that they're correct. Because let's just talk about Trump for a second. There is no way that Trump is at 6'3", 225 pounds. Is that what the last thing says? I'm 215 pounds. I'm 5 foot. I say I'm 5'11". I think I'm a couple centimeters short of that. But that's 6 inches difference, and 10 pounds heavier. And I'm not buying it.
You're 10 pounds heavier, or he is?
No, he's 10 pounds heavier. He looks a lot more than 10.
I'm an anomaly. I'm 5'8", and I'm 245 pounds. Now, I'm Russian descent and Scottish descent. I have some heritage going against me, and we're bulky, heavier people. I also love food. So
It's not a bad thing.
I think that's what we're talking about. I mean, if we're talking middle-minded, I think we need to set the stage. Shouldn't you, as citizens who vote on a president, be assured that we have transparency of the president's health?
Absolutely.
And so, do we believe this last White House administration was transparent with Joe Biden's health? That's a middle term. This is not Republican or Democrat. Was this particular White House transparent with Joe Biden's health? Do you believe they were? When he's 100 days out of office and he's stage 4 cancer. And that's the biggest thing that I hear in common sense media from doctors and media is this doesn't happen. You don't go from stage 1 to stage 4 in the most powerful office in the world without somebody in the medical field knowing that this was happening.
Again, I'd have to look at how something like prostate cancer progresses, because I don't know. I don't know the time, so I can't say, yeah, he could go from stage 1 to stage 4 in 6 months. Is it 1 month? Is it? I don't know. So that I can't honestly answer that. Do I think that they were covering up his health? People, if you want to talk about the mental decline, I don't know if I'd say they were covering it up. We all watched it in live time that he was declining.
I think that's a kind of an interesting point, that forget the politicians and forget the media. They're all bought and paid for. They're actors. Let's face it.
Sure.
I think most of us at this point agree that there's so much acting and lying going on. But as people, we want to cut through that, and we want to find a solution. And we all saw this man, before he even took office in 2020, if you talk to anybody on the other side of the aisle, he was compromised, and we knew it. He was getting lost on stage. There's just countless videos, countless witness testimonies, and the whole world saw it. The whole world saw him sleeping when he's in the middle of an awards function on an international stage, and he's nodding off. You don't need to be an expert or a doctor to understand that this guy had no rational integrity or honor if he's falling asleep at a war memorial or some ceremony for people, and he's the president and he's nodding off. We all saw that. We all knew this was happening. I think the only difference is, and the thing that concerns me, is when people want to uphold their narrative so much that they're willing to ignore what's right in front of their eyes. And now it's coming out that all these people did know it, they did see it.
Sure.
And
look at that book that just came out, Jake Tapper, right? The Original Sin. I haven't read it, but this guy was covering Biden for years on CNN. You telling me that he had no clue until after Biden got out of office, and he said, "Oh, I have a revelation," and then did some investigation and found all this? No way. There's no way. We all as citizens watched the decline. We watched the debate. I mean, he didn't say anything at the time of the debate. I mean, I can't. I'd have to go back and look, but I would probably say, being on CNN, he probably defended it. He may not have. I don't know, because I'd have to go back and look at clips. But then to come out and say, "Oh no, there's a whole cover-up." Come on, you knew it. You knew it then. You knew it watching it. He covered it.
I think it's going to be interesting because you're having, political security, and people that were watching Biden, now whistleblowers are coming out left and right. And I think the scariest part is everybody around this subject who, like it or not, was Democrat, protected this secret in every way possible. Even when they saw the decline in front of their eyes, they still would then go into Trump derangement syndrome and let's say mean stuff about Donald Trump and Republicans, and let's call them Nazis or transphobic, or let's do anything to get off the subject of the fact that we all know that Joe Biden is in serious mental decline, yet he's in the most powerful job in the world.
Are you
that's scary to me.
Are you talking like media or people
everybody.
in it, just
I'm
everybody
talking
in general?
I'm talking any, I sit with a lot of people and talk a lot in my profession, and I witnessed a liberal Democrat voting public absolutely ignore this, and just every time you would talk about it, they would defer and change the subject. Generally changing the subject with Trump derangement syndrome of some sort, and pointing the finger and gaslighting and calling names and losing their temper, which was kind of hilarious to moderates and people a little bit towards the right, is because you were obviously feeling very uncomfortable in your skin and you had to redirect rather than go, hey, you know what, I agree, the President of the United States shouldn't be falling asleep while a ceremony is going on. Yeah, the president should not have to have Joe Biden guide him off of a stage, and this wasn't one time. This was
I don't think it's less of a, I think it's less of a cover up than we gotta have this guy beat Trump. So let's it was about winning. It's not about like, I don't think they were covering it up to say, oh no, he's okay. I just don't think they wanted it talked about, because they wanted their person to win. And so
is that treasonous? Is that a coup? I mean, it sure sounds like it.
I don't think it's. I think any party is going to do whatever it can to.
I agree. I think that's the middle part of this. But as
people win.
When are we going to gain the power to say, no, we deserve not to be lied to, and if our politicians do what the Biden administration did, they should all be in prison, like for treason. Like this was treasonous. He was not running the country. He was in mental and physical decline. He now has stage 4 cancer just 3 months after he gets out of office. Like, this man shouldn't have been in office. And for those people who love Kamala and love women presidents, why was she not made the president 2 months into his presidency? I mean, they appointed her vice president as it is.
Yeah, I think 2 months would have been kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, you have a valid point. Why not, especially if they're going to pick her to be the nominee, why not just, why didn't Biden just step down? Or I don't know why that wasn't their strategy once after the debate. If you knew you were going to put Kamala into the position of, being the nominee, why don't you just have Biden step down? That would have cleared up all the talk about why wasn't there a primary, why wasn't this, because she would have actually been the president and then rerunning again. I don't know why they didn't do that. That's a very fair and valid point. That probably seems like it would have been the better way to go.
I mean, I think a lot of people would argue. I would have argued. I would have said that's very undemocratic, and it would have been. And I think I just want people to if we stop getting separated by sides and just start holding American politics accountable. So it doesn't matter if you're Republican, moderate, independent, or Democrat, that if you lie to the American people and you hide something bad.
They lie
all
every
the time. And
day.
why,
That's the thing.
And why are we
Everything is a lie.
tolerating it?
Why have you seen? I mean,
If you
just
go
listen
into
to
trial
the
and
press
you're going
secretary
to court for murder and you lie, you get jail time for contempt of court. Like there's a punishment for all of us when we lie to a police officer, when we lie under oath, when we lie.
Well, when we lie under oth, for sure.
And they're not under oath.
They're not under oath every day, though.
They are. They have a presidential oath of office. Like
I agree with that. Yeah,
they promised this oath to the American people to tell the truth and to take care of the American population, not just the Democrat or not just the Republican population, but their whole job is to take care of the entire population, which I think is another subject to get into.
Absolutely.
Like, these presidents stopped caring about the American population and are catering to their voter group more than America.
Absolutely.
I would
100%.
say when Biden got up and did the red backdrop and called all MAGA voters a threat to democracy, I mean, he failed his oath of office that day. He should have been he should have been kicked out of office because he clearly wasn't representing all of America, which his oath of office is to represent America, not just Democratic voters.
Sure. I think in Trump's first term, he clearly said he wasn't, he wasn't representing the other side. He just recently called all, Democrats scum. Both presidents are
for what? Covering up Biden's health?
Who knows what? It wasn't that. I forget what it was for. But I don't think there's too much partisan politics. Nobody works across the aisle anymore. Very few. I was just listening to how John Fetterman and McCormick, the other senator from Pennsylvania, they were talking about the steel, this new deal with Nippon, and they're working together. They agree on a lot of things and they disagree on a lot of things. But we don't have that much of that anymore. And if more of that could happen throughout the Senate, every state could focus on their issues and debate them together and come to agreements where you can and disagreements, but civil discourse, not throwing up memes of this senator sucks and whatever. It just doesn't do anybody any good.
Yeah, I noticed
you
that
got one of each. You got one. Especially in states where you got a Republican senator, Democrat senator, and they're not going to get along. You think anything's going to get done for that state? Not at all.
One of the things when we talk about the Biden medical cover-up and this goes back more than just a year or two. This is, we all saw this decline for 4 or 5 years, but my point being is, in listening to another podcast, someone was talking about how weak and frail the American image is to other countries. And the reason being is we elect a president every 4 years. So you have Biden's administration, or let's go back further. You have Trump in his first term of office goes and tries to do this, got fought with tooth and nail, but really couldn't do anything. Mm-hmm. He was more fighting impeachments than trying to do anything. But then you get Biden in office, and it swings over to Biden's command. In 4 years, we go the opposite direction. And now Trump's in office again, and so now we're swinging way the right side. And if I'm over here in another country who has leaders that are in office for 12 years, 20 years, 50 years, America looks like a damn flip-flopping fish getting out of water, just flopping over left and right every 4 years. We're going to change our political direction based on which side is in power, which is keeping this happening. Like, how many more election cycles are we going to go with this love and hate where it's Armageddon or peace?
I don't think we're going to see another two-term president. Maybe never. I don't know.
Which is just going to keep making America weak, and that's my point, is if we're just going to flip-flop every 4 years and play this cat and mouse game where we're quite literally bitch-slapping the American people left and right. If you're Democrat and liberal, you feel like you're getting bitch-slapped right now by the Republicans because Trump's in charge. Well, guess what? The moderate and Republican population of the country felt like during Biden's administration. They felt like they were getting bitch slapped. And if we're doing that to our own people and our political leaders are doing this, what is the power? Is the United States diminishing in, and what I'm saying is, I think we are destroying the American image across the world because we're like little brats. And it's very powerful brats. I would call Trump a brat, even though I vote for him. I would call Joe Biden a brat, and I didn't vote for him. But they're both immature assholes.
So this is just kind of not off topic, but so who's winning? Who's winning under both? Who's winning under both Democrats and Republicans? It's the billionaires. The billionaire class they're winning either way, right? Divide and conquer. Keep us down, keep us fighting, and they just make more money.
That's why what I'm trying to get at is I think we should be fighting for transparency because we don't have the money and the resources to fight the billionaires. They're playing psychological games using the internet that were never available to humanity until the internet and the smartphone. And if you think you understand it, you're 20 years behind the billionaire who really understands it. With AI coming out, oh my God, now it's going to really get out of hand. So how do the people enjoy their country and have pride in their country and belief in their country? And I think the only way is to demand transparency. Like, let's go back to medical. Shouldn't the President of the United States medical records be public knowledge, and shouldn't he have to get checked up at least once a year during his
100%.
term?
Six months.
Any presidential candidate who goes into the debates in the primaries, shouldn't all of them have to have a checkup just to be in that debate? Because we shouldn't be voting on somebody who's about to have stage 4 prostate cancer.
Absolutely.
They shouldn't even be allowed to be in the election, no matter how much that side believes in them. You can't put sick people in the most difficult job on the planet.
Absolutely, agree 100%. I think that not only should the medical records be released and public to everybody. Every 6 months, at least get checked up, get those medical records, get them out there public. Tax returns should be public all the time. What you're trading in stock. First of all, you shouldn't even be able to trade stock. You should be just, all right, put your money in some kind of asset. They're going to say, oh, well, my broker did this, they made the trade. Find a way to you can't trade. The job of president, the job of senator, any public servant, your job is not to make money. Your job is not to become a millionaire. Your job is to represent the people, and most of the people that you're representing are not millionaires, right? So senators, presidents, presidents will probably have a little better health care, but senators should be same health care as us.
Yeah.
Why not? You got to get your health care, because they're voting on stuff right now that will eliminate some Medicare for people. They don't have to worry about it because that's not they have Medicare. They have government paid.
And they have it for
health.
life.
And so but those medical records should be done. Any kind of financial statements should be made public. All of that should be made public.
I think it's like, if we could list 10 things that would bring more transparency to American politics, the medical records is one, and having, I guess the way to say it is bipartisan, like you appointing your doctor. That's what the Bidens did, this doctor.
No.
And this guy took care of Biden for how many years and didn't know? Like, it's full of crap. And then if Trump's allowed to appoint whatever doctor he wants, that's not the same as being transparent.
Yeah,
I think you should
absolutely.
have like a board of doctors, and a couple of those
absolutely.
doctors should be Democratic, so a couple of them should be Republican, and a couple of them should be moderate independents. And we should know that all of these people, the doctor's life should have to be somewhat transparent. So that's medical.
Yeah.
And now we have psychological. Like, why aren't these people going through psychological evaluations
Absolutely.
by a team of bipartisan doctors? And then you're right. Like, financially, their world should be put on hold when they're, I mean, that was how this was. It was supposed to be barbers and contractors and farmers who were congressmen and Senate people.
Absolutely.
There was no such thing as well, I guess there was, but it wasn't supposed to be career politicians, and that's what we have. I mean, I think after you...
It's funny, we have career politicians in the Senate and everything else, but not the presidency, and that touches on what you just said. I don't want a president for 20 years. I just don't, that's a king. I mean, you know, in all, you know, aside from, even if we have three branches.
Neither do I.
If they have
I'm
three
just
branches.
comparing it to somebody who's in
No, and
office
I understand. I understand. And but why are the senators? Why do they have? You know, why can you be a senator for 40 years?
I don't think you should be a senator more than 8 years.
No, that's it.
Congress, Senate, like it just...
no. You put your life on hold. Focus on the people, focus on running the country, and then get out and go use all your connections you made and make money. That's fine.
You're right. You shouldn't be trading stocks during, before, during, and on a period after your presidency.
When you're making policy that affects
it. For 8 years, you shouldn't be allowed to trade stock, and neither should your husband, and neither should immediate family. There should be no way to connect financial gain to your position of insider information during this time. And then I honestly think it should carry for about 4 years after, because quite frankly, what they learn in office is also insider trading, and they're going to know some trends that are happening. They're going to know, because some of these...
Fair enough.
You know, mining operations and pipeline operations, these take years to develop. So if you're in the presidency or you're in Senate and you know they're doing this pipeline, but it's really not going to be profitable until 4 years, well, you shouldn't be able to trade on that after.
No, I mean, look at this. My wife, I'm not going to mention the company she works for, but she works for a publicly traded company. She can't trade stock outside her window. I can't trade her stock. I can't even buy and sell that stock. I can't take options on that stock. And like,
Congress can.
I can't. And I'm not even, and you know, it's just, that's ridiculous. And she doesn't even have a lot of the, you know, knowledge that could really affect. I mean, she does have some, but not compared to like the CEO or something like that.
In the Senate and Congress, you're going to have all kinds of information available to you.
You're making the policy.
Yeah. So we have health, we have psychological health, we have financial protections. I guess, is there any other things that would make American people feel like our politics are more transparent? I bring up consequences. When we catch, you know, let's go back to Bill Clinton. I didn't get a blowjob. Well, yes, you did. And when you admitted it, he got impeached. But I don't even think the consequences were severe enough. You straight out lied to the American people in a very powerful position. The consequences of his lies were probably in the billions of dollars of things connected to his position as a president. So if this presidency, let's say, lied about prostate cancer and knew this for whether it was 1 year ago or 4 years ago, everybody in that administration, I think, should be never allowed to be in politics again. I think there should be jail time, and I think there should be financial consequences, because they played games with the most powerful position on the planet, which is the presidency of the United States. So I think another way is, what are the consequences these politicians face? And I think you would agree they're not facing any consequences.
No, nobody's facing any consequences. Look at, for example, in this administration, where Trump's defying judges, straight up defying judges, whether you like the ruling of the judges or not, whether you think that is that they should be able to rule like that or not.
But those judges are breaking democracy, because the judges aren't supposed to be in control of the country. It's clearly written into the president's control that he is the person in leadership and control. These federal judges are abusing their position.
Well, when it comes to
being very undemocratic when they're using their judge, which
But when it comes to tariffs, the president doesn't have that power. The Congress has that power, and the Congress isn't doing anything. And that is why they're getting ruled. That's why he's being ruled against, is because the Congress has that power. So it's still, if it's a ruling, it's a ruling. It came from the Supreme Court, which he put 3 people on the Supreme Court. So, but when you openly defy the Supreme Court, that also goes against principle. That goes against, that's treasonous too, in my opinion. So,
I think that's where we're going to differ in, I don't agree with what you're saying. I don't think many moderate or Republican people agree with what you're saying. With Doge, they tried to say that this was unconstitutional and an abuse, but it wasn't. He was just very smart. He played the game, and he played it very smart. He took an existing government thing and renamed it and gave it a task that it sort of already had. But if you ask a Democrat, it's like, oh, it's treasonous, it's this. So I don't think. With Doge, though, I don't think there was a ruling. It was by a lower court, and it was put on hold, and then it was ruled on after, and it was allowed. So that's a little different, because it did, they were able to continue. And again, Doge, look at Clinton got rid of more government jobs than President Trump has. Biden deported more people than President Trump has. Problem
but
is that
it's how it's being done, though.
The internet and the smartphone has created a mass argument in people, and you really can't even have discussions anymore. Like I talk about Trump arrangement syndrome, the craziness of, we can't even have a dialogue anymore, because people protect their narrative side, and when they get caught, like Biden's clearly this health issue, the topic, the current affair we're talking about is the cover-up of Biden's health, and even when it's exposed, I'm having this problem where my liberal friends can't even talk to me, and they deflect over to Trump craziness, and it's funny because they're gaslighting on him, what the Biden administration did to the American people. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. I think we're, for a current affairs segment, I think we've gone over enough topics. So we're talking about the cover-up, Biden's health. If you were going to wrap up, give your closing arguments. Where do you want to see this go?
Yeah. Again, I don't know how long it, what they covered up, how much they covered up. Did they know 6 months ago, a year ago, 4 years ago about this? And were they keeping it all from us? I don't know if we'll ever find that out.
Did you know?
Did I know?
In the last 5 years, did you wonder about Biden's mental decline or his health?
Oh, clearly his decline, yeah. But and that's why I'm saying there's no cover-up with that. Everybody saw it in plain view. If you are a Democrat and you saw the decline and you chose to look the other way because at the end, especially because you wanted him to beat Trump, thinking he was going to be the one running, a lot of people did that. I would have looked and said, yeah, I don't want Trump winning, but I think I still wouldn't have voted for. It's hard to say, because I probably just wouldn't have voted, but because I don't think I could have voted for Biden after that debate, and after completely knowing, all right, you're cooked,
Yeah.
But I probably just wouldn't have voted, because I wasn't going to vote for Trump. I think
that's the problem in my closing arguments. I'm going to go right back to the middle, and what we're really trying to accomplish here is, and I think it is frustrating, and I'm going back to social media, the internet, the smartphone, and we have created a massive argument, and we have no idea how to control it or how to be civil within it. We're having people protect presidents that shouldn't be in office. We're having people, and maybe on the other side, protecting Trump, who people view shouldn't be in office. To the point that if my guy does something criminal and wrong, I'm still not going to vote for the other guy. And that's how vile this political arena is now. That, I remember not liking Ronald Reagan and the Bushes, but I didn't hate them to the point that if our side lost and Reagan won, that I thought Armageddon was going to happen, or I thought the white supremacy was going to take over the planet because he's a Republican, or that Black lives wouldn't matter, or that LGBT community wouldn't be represented. Like, it was just, okay, my side lost, the other guy won, it was okay. And now we're not in that anymore. We're like, if my guy loses, we're going to be in World War III. The LGBT community is going to be fucking terrorized.
Do you think, I know we're trying to wrap this segment up, but do you think that part of that is due to the fact that there is no more bipartisan? It's only partisan politics. I think, because if you look back at that, like, Reagan won, right? But you got Tip O'Neill as Speaker of the House. They'll work together. They would work together. Now it's either, if your side wins, all right. Okay. Do you think people would be as, like, up in arms right now if the House and the Senate and technically a lot of the judicial leaning conservative, do you think people would be as worried because they'd feel like they had a player in the game? I think a lot of it is like Democrats. There is no player in the game right now for them. They don't even know who the leader is right now. There's no face of the Democratic Party right now, and so it does feel like, it's everything that Trump wants to do. He's going to do it. And
that's what I voted for.
And, well,
I feel bad for the Democrats, but I think you got yourself here by playing these games. You wanted to play identity politics more than you wanted to be a governing official. You wanted to rile people up over race and over sex and over social class issues, and you stopped being a governing position. You made it all about division issues, and so much so that you made the entire moderate Republican voting public a political issue. If you were that, then you must have been a Nazi, and you must be a homophobe, and you literally, you denounced 200, 300 million people just based on how they voted. And I think that's the problem, is we don't have a middle. Into your argument, I agree that the Democrats found themselves in a position where they don't have a player strong enough in the game, and is that lopsided?
They don't have a player at all. It's not even strong enough.
I agree. I think when we were talking about the transparency and how to govern and how to give consequences to politicians, that's my version of, like, that's what the middle needs to do, is all of us need to demand, whether it's Democrat or whether it's Republican. So maybe Republicans who are winning right now need to demand that Donald Trump doesn't be lying about stuff, or that.
But that's the problem. They won't. It goes back to the stick up.
I'm not okay with Donald Trump lying if he lies about something. I'm not going to let somebody do gaslighting and have Trump derangement syndrome and try to win an argument without having any valid points, evidence.
Most of the people in power, most of the people in the Republican Party in Congress and the Senate won't. I mean, I'm surprised Rand Paul's actually going against the big beautiful bill. Right now, he's the only one. There's talk of some other, kind of fiscal hawk Republicans.
And that's what I get, until we demand that there's consequences for this behavior. Yeah. And I think it's going to take the people, I think there's an opportunity for the Democratic people, not the politicians, the people, the workers, the athletes, whoever, like the people, to stand up and do something right now. And I think that's absolutely scary, because they've been brainwashed under these things. Like, you've accused Donald Trump of being a Nazi and being Hitler, yet you provided no evidence whatsoever of millions of people dying at Donald Trump's going to war or eradicating an entire race of people. So you're making these radical claims, and then that's how you got everybody to hate him so bad, and now you can't even get in a civil discourse about policy. You can't talk facts, you can't talk evidence, because you've been taught that this person's Hitler, even though you have, 10 years now in politics of no Hitler shit. So let's wrap this up. It's current affair. Biden's health was the thing. I don't even know if I want to answer any more questions. I think we talked it through. Do you have any final points that must be said?
Everybody just needs to come to the middle.
Yeah. Well, with that said, this is Middle Minded. I'm Pete Bogdanov. My friend Dave.
Yeah.
Till next time. Cheers.